Hi, I'm Carol Wilson, Editor-at-Large with Light Reading, and I'm here with Josh Goodell, the Vice President of Edge Solutions at AT&T. Welcome, Josh.
Thank you, Carol. It's always a pleasure.
Oh, for me as well. So we're here at MEF18, and you gave an interesting keynote speech this morning, and you talked a lot about some of the challenges around services, but also some of the progress that you're making. Why don't we start with SD-WAN? You were talking a lot about that this morning.
Yeah.
What progress have you seen there?
So yeah, SD-WAN has been interesting. As I talked about last year, our VNF platform, our Flexware platform, and we've seen really strong growth. 2018 has been the year of SD-WAN. I mean, it's really taken off. I mentioned, I think this morning, that we have 28,000 contracted endpoints, which is absolutely astounding. And we're deploying services all over the globe.
You also talked today about some of the complexity around deployment of that service.
Yeah, it's, you know, the hype cycle is always interesting, and I'm a believer in this technology. I think this technology is paradigm shifting technology. But nothing is as simple as some lead, you know, to believe. So when you think about actually deploying in hybrid environments that have lots of different types of hardware and applications running, it's complex. And it's complex depending on which country you're in. Again, our play is very much having a platform that can be deployed across the globe in 200 plus countries. And that alone brings a tremendous amount of complexity. And I think that's one of the areas that AT&T is able to differentiate, and being able to deliver that consistently, whether it's in the United States, whether it's in China, whether it's in Pakistan. I named a few this morning. That's, you know, we can do it, but it's not easy. And it's, you know, we've learned a lot over the last 12 to 18 months.
Okay, so the MEF's doing some work in the SCN Arena. Is that work going to help you in sort of reducing some of that complexity? Yeah,
so first of all, just a little bit of a plug for MEF, and I'm just a participant here, right? But you know, I've found MEF to be very pragmatic, and it brings together this really interesting community of network providers, managed service providers, vendors, and really more software-centric and network-centric folks with different heritages, and they bring these groups together and then drive towards, you know, definition for solving real problems. And I think that SD-WAN is ripe for that. And I think that MEF is going to do some interesting work and truly driving definition around what a customer can expect from an SD-WAN solution, because it doesn't solve all problems, and you can distinctly kind of lay out the problems that it does solve. And then I think there'll be some really interesting work done on the APIs and standardizing around the APIs for SD-WAN. And I think over time what we'll see is that will unlock the next wave of innovative capabilities, whether it's you know, federation of different types of networks, or whether that's, you know, tighter linking of the underlay and the overlay networks. I think that it will evolve into something that we probably haven't even conceptualized yet.
Okay, so one of the other big MEF announcements here was the draft technical specification for the Sonata Interface, which is that carrier-to-carrier interface, and you know something about that. Yeah,
so I think it was 2 years ago, I gave a keynote here, and I always like to follow a formula. I talk about what AT&T's done, what we plan to do, and then the next year I have to come back and give an update on that. But I also like to talk about industry challenges that no one provider can solve for. And 2 years ago, we talked about this dynamic of really creating federated networks. And because we had created software-defined networks within AT&T, we felt like the natural extension of that is to allow customers to consume those types of networks outside of our footprint. It just makes sense, right? And so that challenge was put out there, and then a year later, so last year, many of the participants within MEF, AT&T was just one of many, we weren't the only ones, came together and actually demonstrated a proof of concept around federated networks and showed what was possible. And what was so amazing is having that be a part of MEF. MEF was able to define what that framework would be in a standard approach. And now, looking forward, we're actually going to be delivering a commercial service with multiple carriers, I can't announce which ones, but doing exactly what we talked about 2 years ago.
Wow, okay.
And it will be a framework that I'm sure others will use as well. So it's really exciting, and I think it represents why MEF is a powerful organization. It drives towards pragmatic solutions to problems that are industry-wide.
Okay. All right, of course, the other hot topic is 5G, and you can't do an interview without talking about 5G. So what's your perspective on what 5G is going to mean on the business services side, or what it's going to mean for AT&T, and how you might be changing architecturally to adapt to that, or at least at the edge where you're engaged?
So 5G is interesting, and I'm a big believer that it's not necessarily one technology that changes the paradigm.
Okay.
SD-WAN's a good example of that. IoT is another good example of that. Sure. IoT is not one thing, it's 3 or 4 different technologies that came together that created a paradigm shift.
Right.
I think 5G is one of those ingredients that is absolutely going to change the game for the industry.
Okay.
And we talk in evolutionary Gs, so 1G to 2G to 3G to 4G to 5G, and I won't bore you with the difference between each of these Gs. But 5G, I think, is going to be very interesting from a couple of different perspectives. One, it will be able to support extreme density of endpoints.
Right.
And so having that capability, I think, will open the door to IoT solutions that we can't even imagine at this point.
Okay.
So the density of the type of solutions that can be enabled, lower latency solutions.
Right, that's going to be important.
That'll be really important. I think that'll be a paradigm shift. And I think it will open up use cases that we're not even thinking about now.
Okay.
And then the raw throughput is a step function advance as well. So it's a combination of characteristics that 5G, I think, is going to really drive, and I'm excited about it. I think it's going to be very disruptive.
Okay.
And I think it's going to be exciting to see what evolves from it. The other part of the 5G story, which I'm fascinated with, is not just what it will enable, but how we're attacking the challenge.
Okay.
And so, we within AT&T have really taken an approach to be open and really opened up some of the technologies that we're working on, ideally to accelerate innovation within the industry and bring down the cost for everybody.
Okay.
And 5G is this great example of a couple of different elements of that playing out. So you've got the specs for the white boxes that we'll be using within our core network that have been recently opened up to the open source community. We actually published those specs just this month.
Okay.
You've got the network operating system that will work in conjunction with those.
Is that Danos?
That's Danos. So disaggregated network operating system.
Okay. Okay.
I can never say the acronym without spelling it out. So those in combination, I think, are powerful, and what's interesting is we've opened that up for anybody.
Right.
So, I think it's going to be interesting, not just in what 5G enables, but how we tackle the challenge of delivering it.
Okay, great. Josh, thanks for being here with me today.
Yeah, thank you, Carol.